What's up, guys? This is New Dub 2012, and today I'm going to discuss common chords that are used in the dubstep genre. And we're going to be using default FL Studio, FL Keys. Does its job well. It's actually used in a lot of dubstep, you've probably heard. So, don't gotta worry about that. Alright, so let's start off with major scale. Major scale consists of, we have C5, D5, E5, F5, G5, A5, B5. Now when you put these two together, you have what's called it's not a chord, it's a board, because board, bi is 2, so chord is 3. Sometimes I just like to play these melodies. Anyways, so in major scale, there's only 3 chords that you need to know. There's the big boss chord, which is C5, E5, and G5. It's called the big boss chord. Then we have D5, F5, A5. That's known as the mini boss chord, because it just doesn't have that full sound. Big boss, mini boss. And this one is called the big wizard. It's C5, F5, sorry, E5, A5. It's got that mysterious sound. So you have big boss, mini boss, big wizard. So you can create melodies like this. Wizard, 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 wizard. Big boss, mini boss, mini boss, big boss, wizard boss. That's just how the industry has dubbed those chords. You don't really have to know those to create your own chords, but create your own dubstep chord lines. And if you want, you can go down an octave, and it's still the same thing. Big boss, mini boss, wizard. Okay. Now the root note, here you maybe heard this term before. The root note is always the top note that you play. So if I play a big boss, oops, can't even see it. If I play a big boss, G5 is the root note. So that means every key below will fit exactly. Okay. Now let's move on to common chord progressions. This one is called the walk in the park. It's just where you go up and down, up and down. So you just and then there's one called skip walk. That's the reverse skip walk. That's a really common one. So what I'm going to do is create a chord progression, but I'm going to use new chords, and I'll explain those as I go along. So we're going to do the bass notes. I'm going to turn my snap on step so that it matches up properly. Let's hear how that sounds. And then on the other keys, I'll make a melody. We'll do a big boss. like that ending ring at the end. Okay, now let's spread that over. Now, we're going to load up Citrus, and we're going to use a preset called DX7 Dingle. Okay. This will be used to create harmonies. So what I'm going to do is copy these notes. Control-C, Control-V while clicked on Dingle. Also, I'm going to set the effects to effect slot 2. Okay. That's an okay melody, but I don't like how they clash together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate all of these. So I'm going to cut these out, go to the next pattern, paste. Cut the bottom one out, go to the next pattern, paste. Now I have the big boss, mini boss, big boss. Then I have pattern 2. Then I have pattern 3. And that's going to sound like this when I go into song mode. You can get some really nice wobbles on that, I'm sure. Now, let's get another instrument going. Let's get some drums. Let's go to FPC. Now, as you know with dubstep, it's always a kick on the 1 beat and a snare on the 3. I'm going to add a crash right there, just so they know what's up. Again, I don't want this in this pattern. Ideally, you want to switch to a new pattern if you're going to make a new line of instrumentation, but, you know, there's always options. Now let's see how that sounds. See, it's got that strange feeling that you're probably going for. So now what we're going to do, let's see, that's just a basic drum track. I'm going to take pattern 1, copy it. I'm going to paste it in pattern 5, but I'm going to change it slightly. I'm going to move the notes so that the root note, G5, is moved down. Now everything is in limbo. Being in limbo means all the notes are in the same scale, in the same notation. So if it's in G5, you can only have D5 and B4 to be a big boss chord. Sorry, if you're in F5, F sharp 5, you have to be in D sharp 5 and B4. But if you're in G5, it has to be E5 and C5. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to use those notes or it will not sound proper. So all I've done is I've moved it down, and you probably won't even notice when I make this change, but I'm going to introduce it right here. Now let's see how that goes. Okay, I'm going to add a plugin called SAR. This is basically a super saw if you want it to be. We're going to change this to unison 8. Keep the unison detune there. Doesn't need to be changed. And let's open up the unison panning just a tad. That's right. Now, when you're clicking on the channel settings, make sure you have it clicked. Double click it if you have to. Hit Control L. Now what you've done is you've routed it to the next available insert. So if you don't know which insert it should be on, just hit Control L and it'll go to an empty one. There you go. Now let's make a melody with this. So let's go to a new pattern, like I said before. You don't want to be cutting and pasting every damn time. That's really annoying. So, SAR, piano roll. I'm going to switch my keyboard. See where my mouse is up here. You can switch the keyboard to any musical scale that you would like. So I'm going to switch it to the Skrillex scale. And that's a deal they've done with ImageLine. Skrillex made his own musical scale and he put it in there. It's pretty neat, actually. So now you can make songs just like Skrillex, and you don't have to worry about hitting any bum notes because you can't. All right. So now, so even if I type in a wrong note, it'll just move it up automatically. So you don't have to worry. I'm going to change the snapping to half beats. No, sorry. Wrong. Steps. I can make these steps. I'm going to put all the black keys only. Except for the end. The ending, I'm going to put on a white key. It's not because I'm racist. It's just the listener's ear knows you're playing black keys. Black keys have a special resolution sound to them. They resolve very nicely. So when you introduce a white key, it's just shocking, and it's interesting for the listener. So let's play that back. Now, I'm not exactly happy with that. I want to tweak the sound a bit. So I'm going to introduce the noise. I'm going to introduce a sub saw, which is basically a saw underneath the saws that we already have. Push that up. Let's try that now. Make it deepen it. Alright. Let's paste this in here. Alright. Let's start from step 9. It's a pretty good melody. One thing I haven't done is I have not introduced an effects to the drums. I'm going to do that really quickly. You don't really have to see what I'm doing. Let's just see. Blood Overdrive. Oh, wrong one. Don't want to do that. Blood Overdrive. Preamp. 100. Lower them now because you'll be sorry later. Okay. Now, there's one more thing I want to do. that is to make a crash. The term crash is when you play many notes at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new pattern. Select all the keys that I want. Do that here. Okay, let's go up really high for this one. The drums we'll do in a second. Let's make this a really long one, really high up there. And the drums, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to do a bunch of toms. And I added a line of snares, and we'll get a line of kicks in there too. Give it some real bump. Now I'm going to put that at the very end, and this will be the finale to my tutorial. Big boss, big boss, big boss, big boss, mini boss, big boss. Actually, I'm going to make that play 4 times. So because the bleed from the drum set is not very well controlled. So we'll just make it so that the listener gets it. Okay. One final note. One trick to making a dubstep song sound really loud is to use the fruity limiter on the master channel, increase the gain, and lower the ceiling by 0.3 decibels. Watch this. See how loud that is? That concludes today's tutorial about chords. Special note, these are only chords that are used in dubstep. These are not used in traditional music like jazz or dubstep. So, yeah. See you later.